Layful, my bad. Layful. Chance to Layful.
I just hope it's not going to be one of the moments where we go, this is how they do it in Malaysia?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't play out like the Malaysia Grand Finals.
Yeah. I think a little bit of a fun fact about that. I feel like, from what I've heard, CG weren't completely in the right zone during the playoffs. So actually them making it to the Grand Finals and representing Malaysia in the M7 World Championship was an even more surprising result for themselves. Even they didn't expect it. But here they are. So SRG, CG, Ling has been buffed. We're all in agreement that it's a very conditional pick. In this unique BO1 scenario, maybe that's something we have to watch out for. But I'd put that at maybe a 5% chance of it popping up.
For the Ling?
Yeah, for Ling, Sakai specifically.
Yeah, I mean, if it's one of the cases where you bring it out, and like we saw in the video leading into this, they practice and scrim for the best of ones. Ling would be maybe one of the perfect picks if you said, if you lean into that 5%. But, that's one of the things, too. You have some of these off chance of mid picks that you could maybe even see. We've seen cheese picks before, and Odette in the hands of Chico. Chico is one of those guys, too, that likes to go ahead and pick some more of those unorthodox picks if it comes up. You can see the Eves being banned out here. Farce is still up at the table, so I'm expecting we see that YSS is going to be the last ban for that first phase from CG. So what is the priority going to be here for SRG? Do they just go the Kalea? It's open. Do they prioritize a jungle pick instead?
Yeah, usually Kalea, Juicens are what people go for with Yuzhong. Yuzhong also, so priorities on the blue. With them taking out the Eve, I think they're looking towards what they can do around the center of the map, so we might be looking towards the mid laners, but let's see. It is the BO1 scenario in SRG. Even SRG admitted that they could have handled the BO1 so much better last year.
Yeah.
So this time around, they want to start with their best foot forward and not replicate them having to crawl 3-2 similar to what they did last year.
Been itching for a real fight.
I'm surprised they waited so long to pick it up too, just because again, Kalea seems to be one of those picks right now that's just high priority on the blue side. They'll swing it over, so now for CG, this is where we can start to see, the chances to work with this draft too. Also the fact that we don't entirely know what their plan is for the gold lane. I think any team that goes against SRG is also thinking, how do we contain the beast? How do we match up against Innocent? What do we do in that? Again, this gold lane has changed over the course of the past few months in our current meta. And, you could be considering maybe one of the fighter golds if you want to go that way. They are going to grab the Yuzhong and then the Kimmy. So Yuzhong, probably one of the top picks right now, obviously, in the XP lane. Then they go grab that Kimmy.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Lancelot together with the Yuzhong, right? Then you set up for the AOG at Red 3, got the Pacha to counter the Kalea, but now it gives over an opportunity for SRG to snatch the Lancelot away, who's really good against Yuzhong. You actually have a lot of abilities to just get away from the Yuzhong, so I don't really think there's... I don't think Sky is going to go for anything else. I mean, the Haya is the only other choice. Thinking Sky is, you don't want to put him on utility.
I think SRG are just going to show their jungler hand already, most likely. As you mentioned, the thing, I'm tossing all the possibilities in my head about this Kimmy.
Yeah.
There it is, Lancelot, Jushin, one of the picks we were suggesting earlier. This Kimmy is either going to become the main carry of the lineup or just one of the 2 carries. I don't think CG is going to walk away with a triple carry setup here. Might be way too greedy. But I see them suddenly swerving and then, hey, maybe we can put a fighter in the gold lane and then we'll just play through the Kimmy at the center of the map and make that our main carry, which makes sense because maybe that's one of the reasons as well, other than it being a really strong pick. You pick this Yuzhong because that's your guy to bridge you on over to the mid to the late game.
And we have seen compositions really highlight that Kimmy, where they play into it and then eventually your damage output's so good, but it also is just complemented really well with the Yuzhong and then whichever other crowd control hero you're able to go ahead and bring to this. So this pick right here, the Gatakasha, you already mentioned this miracle, it gets picked up. It's been banned out a lot for obvious reasons. Again, still one of the best picks, one of the best heroes to set things up and even scout. That information that can be provided for the team really helps against the Kalea too. Again, one of the heroes that is going to be very proactive and aggressive towards CG.
This could be a really, really cool front-to-back composition for CG if SRG doesn't read it out, right? I think the Ruby right now is something that SRG have to consider because CG are looking to I think with the Kimi, the Galakacha, peel for the Kimi, get another carry in the jungle, and play for those two carries. They ban out the carry as well. They know that the front needs to be strong if the front to back for them is to work against so much dive, so much distraction as well. Like, Juice in, Lancelot, that's a composition that really just want to break apart the front to back formation.
I think SRG have already telegraphed that. Hopefully they have telegraphed that. But knowing SRG, Coach Arcadia, Coach Veki, they probably are already looking at that. Other than the Ruby, we might see a shift back into the CC Gold lane, but something that we haven't seen a lot of in recent time as well. I'm trying to remember if we've seen it in the Wildcard.
I think maybe
there's CC Golds in the Wildcard.
Yes, there were plenty, I would say, of CC Golds together with Gata. That's another very good option in the gold lane. Also front to back. They ban out the carries in the jungle, so Haya gets taken out.
Carries.
Are they just gonna full set and just go Joyce ban also? Just so they take away all of the main carries?
Yeah, it really depends on how they want to play with the Kalea now, because usually when you already have a Kalea, the Joy is fine to deal with, and then you can build on it with a Harith as well. It can still work here.
Dang, if they go one more jungle ban too, SRG takes one more jungle ban, you know, I'm wondering what's gonna be in the hands here for CG.
They're gonna be running out, and that could be the decision. They don't want to go up against the Ruby. So I think that is what we're getting, a double carry setup with Kimi being one of the main carries, the jungler being a carry as well, if there is something left. But they might have to sort of out of that just a little bit. Because
Maybe Joy?
Yeah, we mentioned Joy earlier. But if it's Joy, then your center is all magic.
Hey, it's a best of one.
I guess you have a Yuzong, and we are expecting the Ruby to come out, so then you'll have enough physical, I guess, for the side laners here. It'll be a balance between the Yuzong and Ruby. But that means SRG will leave the Ruby open, and that's already kind of concerning, because again, for SRG, they want to break the formation, and with a Gatot, with a Furious type Petrify, and the Ruby, it's going to be tough. They do ban out the Joy. Now it's really going to limit Gary's picks in the jungle.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they go Fred and then Granger, Kimi Granger.
Yeah, great combo. Work very well together. A lot of people have seen that.
Yep.
What if there's a room for Suyo later on? If there isn't enough magic damage on the side of SRG, like if they save it for the last pick.
My life. Your team is
Well, they're still gonna go magic damage route.
Okay.
They go Harith with the Kimi. So this makes it even more interesting to see what CG picks up in the jungle. It's like, unless they do opt for, like, are we actually gonna see Gary playing a utility? What's utility? Like utility left? Again, the Fredrin, the box is still open. Yeah, so you could still go with that, and like, that's actually okay. If they do opt for utility with this composition that they have, especially now that the Harith came through, they're generally going to be okay. It's all set of potential that they have between the Yuzhong and the Gatakancha, and then you put yourself on a utility jungle. It gives you enough time as well to go ahead and respond to, again, that aggressiveness that's going to be coming out from this lineup already from SRG. They'll take the Phoveus, and then lastly, there it is, man. They'll go for it. They'll go for that Granger.
Interesting. I thought it was going to be more of an independent pick for Innocent, a Claude, a Moskov.
Yeah.
But it's the Granger, so he's going to have to rely on the rest of the team to win out that trio mid battle, or stay even.
So SRG, they have a lot of avenues to go through in terms of how they want to execute and play around their Granger. If it goes really well in the center, then they can play through Sakai's to help the Granger, or if they're just going to funnel onto the Granger at the beginning. So we'll see if we get that version, or CG, they're taking their sweet time thinking about what they're going to pick.
Is that
a Freya?
Freya?
Yeah, Freya jungle?
He's holding
Oh.
him, dude.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be Freya jungle.
Oh
if
my
ever.
goodness.
Interesting. The Valkyries.
Okay.
Interesting.
begin.
Count on the team with Chiku to show up with something crazy here.
This is great. Hey, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it.
I mean, I'm just glad they ended up with a physical damage dealer, because they really couldn't afford to. Oh, there was no one that they could pick up as magic anymore.
They could have just gone utility, I feel like, at that point, but like Freya is a different, whole different scenario.
Maybe the Fredrin was also considered, but when they saw the Granger, they was like, yeah, maybe like we're good. Let's just try to match them with damage. A theme again that was set up from the Wildcards. It seems like where teams are also putting a lot more importance towards your damage profile and having enough of it in the early to mid game, because most teams who rely too much on mid to late will struggle. Welcome to the rematch of the MPL Malaysia Grand Finals. SRG versus CG, the first Civil War series for this day in the Swiss stage.
All right, the Freya coming into play here is going to be great. Quantum charge on it too. So Gary, you know, we've seen him play many times throughout these international tournaments as well, and he is one of the more aggressive junglers, I'd say. Sometimes it leads a little bit too aggressive, and I feel like the same thing could happen here on the Freya. It's potentially a case where you bite off a little more than you can chew, but it could also work out really well for CG Esports. And again, this is one of the highlights of best of ones, right? You can actually go ahead and kind of play into this. And we mentioned this before the draft, you know, that potential to bring out some of these cheesier picks or these niche picks, if you want to call it that. And they do that here in this match against SRG, where when you look at this lineup, man, it's, you know, it's somewhat standard. It's something we're used to seeing. Maybe the phobia is not as much, but definitely still serves that purpose of what we're used to seeing for XP laners.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference there for SRG. Straight into the clear, and then rotation down below to get the XP grab for Cram. Meanwhile, CG, Chiku just got a few hits over on the turret.
Two very different lineups here in terms of what they want to do. CG, I think the thing with the Freya pick is that if SRG aren't careful, if Turtle 1 is a massive loss for them, then that Freya is just going to keep continuing. I think that's one of the things we have to watch out for when there is a Freya, no matter what position it is, because we've already seen it previously in the Wildcard and other tournaments as well leading up to this, not this newer version.
Ooh. So that makes it equal. XP Crab this time over to Year 3, but the thing is the wave is frozen by Cram, so it's going to be really tough for CG to get their XP laner to level 4 later.
Okay, Turtle's up. A couple level 4s nearly here for SRG and CG. They're going to start this turtle up. This guy has an angle on already. Valens too has to be careful. Again, you're a Ganakacha, you're quite tanky. Heal up a little bit here, but he doesn't want to take too many shots. He's going to charge in.
Red Tree going to be won out by Sky's great Dark Wave. And now it's 2 over as Cram goes in front of pursuit. Chiku has to run away. Yums with the flicker in forward. A Purify out now as that's the light shown upon him. Good immobilization. Stormy slow. The peel is massive, and Year 3 just cannot get close enough. In the end, he does, but it will be traded for his life. Another Dark Wave into the pursuit, and now he's just recalling on Valens.
Confidence, that's Cram. That's what he brings to the table.
Oh man, you know, hey, that was a team fight and a half for the first turtle, basically. There's some pressure here.
Orange Buff take into the escape, baiting out 3 ultimates from CG.
Way too many resources spent, man. I think that first attempt by CG to try to test that turtle with how SRG played it, with what they did to what Cram did to the minion wave at bot, freezing Year 3 from hitting level 4, just made it look like an amateur approach by CG to go for that fight there. Even if Gary got that turtle, they still would have suffered massive losses in terms of the numbers. So let's see how will CG recover with SRG playing it close to the hand. Very standard, very fundamental. That's working out very well for them.
I think even if we look at CG's lineup, though, like it's still one of those lineups that needs time to go ahead and scale up. Again, Freya, we've seen a couple times already, like you guys mentioned, even in the Wildcard. But you know, in the hands of a jungler, and you kind of have to put yourself in this position where you're jumping into the objective pits, whether that's the turtle or later on the Lord. You're putting yourself in a very susceptible position. You know, that's something you have to kind of consider here, even in that Valkyrie form. You can see this, though. It's a very minor lead that got built up quickly for SRG, and they'll continue to kind of capitalize on that now. So I'm wondering if CG Esports wants to go ahead and contest this time. Maybe they have a better positioning in mind to deal with this turtle take, because it's going to be started up. You're going to have that swing over from SRG, and fighting for position. It looks like CG Esports wants to go for it, but
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
Oh. Chico already getting away. Turtle in control of Yums.
Better positioning overall for SRG.
The finalized baited out now as Yums goes in. Is he able to go for Tsunami Slam? Now as Stormy lights him up. That's an AOG coming down as Valkyrie's head comes over. Petrify the Furious Dive, but there's just not enough damage. Skies wins out the retry on the turtle, and now it's Amzig who's able to get away. Baits in Cram with the Inferno Pursuit of their turret. Yums hovering over. Valens taken low. 2 death Sonatas. You can definitely feel the nerf on Granger as Valens gets away.
And just like the first turtle, man, it was nearly the same thing. You know, it was a couple bodies dropping for CG Esports, plus the objective in the hands of SRG. And if that happens again, you know, third turtle, it's going to be kind of the same thing that's happening here. And this scalability that happens here with SRG's lineup is just going to be too much for CG to deal with. Oh man, even Yay.
Yikes! Oh, flicker shoulder bash, phantom execution. It's just coordinated perfectly.
Yeah, Selangor Red Giants, they are as textbook as you can get with a little bit of flair. Another Tsunami Slam!
What a follow-up. The AOG landing. Carry still able to survive, but the turret goes down. Cram on it with in front of pursuit. Again, Lantern Flare! Knocking him up, pulling him down. Now it's Valens who's given over to Innocent to get his first Sky Piercer stack of the game.
And that's what I'm saying. They know the limits of this lineup. They know that they did that under the turret, man. You know, they chose to fight and capitalize against this kind of weak point of CG Esports' lineup. So right now, they're just, it seems like SRG's just taking anything they want here across the map.
I guess you can see why SRG looks so confident in the video to start off the series.
Yeah.
They know that they fully understand how CG Esports want to operate. I honestly do not fully understand how CG wants to operate.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like it was a very straightforward approach up until the Freya pick. Then you're like,
Yeah.
what? Right? Yeah, but
That's why I almost wonder, what if it was like a Freshen or a Baksha, you know? Like, what if it was something a little more bulwarky, you know, something a little more staple that can actually go ahead and get in position and face off against these objective takes?
at least Innocent got what he wanted. These are not the same picks.
It's very different. But picks, as different as they are, it looks like it's just going to be the same result. Amzik is going to be left in the bottom lane. Is Crab going to come in? Is he going to try and take him?
Oh no, look at the cutoff.
Oh no, the sandwich.
Perfect turtle already. They're going to play with Amzik here. An AOG onto him. Amzik was as good as dead. That's a second Sky Pierce coming down now. A taunt landing with a Petrify as well. Now into the back, they dive in. Young's going to take it out. The Skies in the back line is able to find Chico, and Gary is sustaining, but Innocent is gunning them down. Yeah, 3 taken out by Skies, and Innocent gets a triple.
A triple kill for the Beast, a wipeout too. They chose that fight in the bottom lane and they just couldn't come out with anything except a couple kills. But again, they need way more for CG to get back into this game.
To quote a great man I've seen on the internet millions of times, why are you fighting? Why?
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 I have no idea.
Why would you
What was
hate?
the plan?
I heard the question mark on AOG because
Look at this. Yeah, it was suicide, no? Like, Amzik was as good as dead already.
They decided to come in. They're up against a Lancelot. They left their Kimmy behind. And SRG again just separated them. And
I mean, not only that, but look at Innocent, man. Like, Innocent's just chilling.
yeah, SRG, okay, this is not to undermine SRG. They're not doing anything special. They're doing their jobs perfectly.
Tsunami Slam locked him down. Amzik still able to go for the Tsunami. Oh my goodness, the turnaround over on Yums. He's still able to survive as Stormy goes up the Crimson Beacon. Innocent is unstoppable. Just Dragon is going to come down on and Petrify over, but Innocent will take him out. That is 60 stacks on Sky Piercer.
Well, they went for it again, man. I will say there's like these little windows where it's looking like, man, CG Esports is at least going to take someone with them. They take Yums that time. Almost got Innocent. Now, the question that might be is how much more time does CG Esports need to be able to actually capitalize on those kills? Because it feels like, again, this entire game, they've just been throwing themselves at SRG.
If their theory here is that maybe they'll get tired eventually, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, CG.
SRG
So-
can do it all day.
Yeah, they can do it all day. They can just keep going. So open up the map, take down minion waves, stop forcing fights. If one of you go down, just accept that you cannot get the trade at this point. You cannot get the favorable trade that you want to get a massive swing. You're going to need to cross the 30,000 threshold first and somehow hope that they're still not crossed past 40 SRG, but that is close to impossible here.
Oh, Tsunami Slam on balance, dude. They can go for whoever they want, and he locks him down! Oh my lord! That was the main man, that was the frontliner, and Balance just got cooked.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. That's why, again, the Kalea is such a top priority pick when that hero is open. Innocent just taking the shots here. They get the Purify out from Amzik. Lord's going to be worked on, though. Gary.
Freya's doing work now in a 2v1. That's going to kind of execution. He needs to space out perfectly. He does with the sustain of Yums. And that's another 19-5 now.
That's really tough, man.
Yeah.
Again, at this point, CG, like I said, is kind of strapping here for whatever they can get. Yes, Gary will be back for this defense. They still have the holy defenses up, but man, 10K behind at nearly the 11-minute mark of this game. This is a massive lead right now for SRG. They'll get ready to go ahead and march towards the base here, getting the holy defense down in mid. Top's going to be next. What can CG Esports do here on this defense? Throw out a couple ultimates out, clearing out that Lord and the lane. They might be able to hold on to these base turrets just yet.
They will be able to. Holy defense, keeping CG's hopes of winning this game, somehow turning it on around alive. I think we look at the items of the Harith, still on the way to the Holy Crystal. Of course, Innocent's been locked in fully for a long amount of time. 10,000 gold lead, 60 stacks on the Sky Piercer, 582 and counting as well on the passive of the Granger. So to say that this is going to be a tough climb is an understatement. We usually say this is one of those moments where it will take a miracle and there's no sugarcoating it. It will take a miracle or a mistake.
Yeah, SRG need to like dive in fountain for this to happen.
Yeah.
Come back. It's ooh.
It's one of those cases, but it's also like, all right, you look at the lineup CG Esports brought to the table. Gary's jumping in, Ye3's jumping in, but at some point, Amzik has to be able to pop off on the Harith. And like you said, you take a look at the items, man. He has ground to cover.
Lord.
Look at this, 3,000 behind right now in terms of what Innocent has in his arsenal. Yeah, that's about as cooked as it can get. But you hope that you're able to hold on. And I feel like, in a lot of situations when you're looking at a 10K deficit, that's all teams can do. And you then have to go ahead and look. Again, when you're viewing these games and you see a 10K deficit, you have to start to think, all right, what do we look at? Defense potential with this composition? Are we thinking that it's actually going to be worth or capable of defending the next Lord push? Because they're most likely not going to contest that at all. They're just going to have to defend. And this lineup, unfortunately, you've basically got Valens being deleted too quickly.
That's a 5,000 gold lead for Skies on Gary, dude.
It just goes to show how bad this game has gone for CG Esports.
They CG. They cooked Gary.
They cooked Gary.
Oh, no.
Not the ref.
Yeah, not the ref.
Not the ref.
Not the ref, but the player. But I guess that's the version of CG that we got today. Well, Selangor Red Giants. Interesting that they looked at this Swiss stage and they saw their opponents in CG and said, okay, struggled last year. This time, we'll stay close to what we know. Because again, it's a very familiar opponent, so you can't blame SRG for going down this hard. I feel like any other team, this draft would have looked significantly different for SRG, considering who they're up against, the history that they've shared, the fact that they pretty much dominated CG in the playoffs, both in the upper bracket finals and in the grand finals as well. SRG just sticking close to their guns, which is a warning shot now for the rest of the Swiss teams. Because you don't see just yet how deep SRG can go in this M7.
13,000 gold lead. This is the biggest lead we've seen today.
I was going to ask, is it the biggest lead even in Wildcards?
I think
it's close. It's got to be close.
Got 14K.
14K, that's right, yeah, the 14K. Well, now we'll see if they can defend against it.
Guys!
Yeah. Punctures all around. We're going to try to go for siege. OG. Guys now jumps in, knows there's no AOG. Oh, actually mistimed the corner road. Doesn't matter though. Innocent's godlike. One more stack away from getting the full Sky Future stack. As Gary's going to become a Tsunami Slam brought back into the fray. Skies making a turn to the mid lane as Ye3 will fall. They're going to peel for him. Innocent fully stacked with a double kill in his hands. Now it's Crimson Beacon and the Death Sonatas constantly coming down on CG Esports. Two more ways to play with. This guy's walking up again. That's going to be the Demand Force over. Doesn't even matter. Innocent gets a double. This is almost an unofficial Savage. Innocent has to flicker around. That's a Purify out from Chico, who's able to find a kill now as Innocent walks over. No minions. Let's go for the shot, but Valens able to body block now as he goes on Valens. It looks like they want a stat pad all the way. They don't want to go for the end just yet. They want to get a few more kills on Innocent. That's an AOG into the wave. That's Sonata. He's legendary. He's killed Valens twice in that fight.
I think Innocent was like, give me one more. Give me one more before we ended it there. SRG dominant in this best of one against CG. And I would say, hey, again, on point of talent predictions here, I think across the board, and I think even the audience, you know, they saw this one coming, man, and hopefully CG Esports can recalibrate in their next match after this.
That was a harsh welcome back to the global stage there for Chiku. But for SRG, it's business as usual, though they look like they were toying with them right there at the end. SRG looked like they were locked in and they just want to start off this Swiss stage with their best foot forward, and that's exactly what they did. Again, nothing special, just perfection all around for SRG. That's how damn good they were.
That Freya's definitely going to be memed.
Yeah. I like this. Hey, man, you know, best of ones, I'm still supporting those kind of things. Yeah, bring them out, you know, like, but again, it just got shut down. So
yeah, I mean, you have to marry idea and execution, right?
Yeah.
If you want your Freya to get good from Turtle 1, make sure your XP laner is set up really well, okay? Make sure that the Yuzhong can hit level 4 and is not frozen out of his own minion wave. Help him out. And if you don't get that, then you don't need to compete for Turtle 1, Freya, because you're just going to get punished even if you do get it.
I think part of this too is just, again, it was a team effort here from SRG, and that's kind of like always what we see, you know, with them when they're in their best form, I should say. When they're in their best form, it's a synergy across the board from them. Yes, Innocent got to go ahead and pad his stats. You know, he gets the KDA that he was looking for in this Granger here. But really, it's from start to finish that the Selangor Red Giants always, when they play like this and they're kind of in that flow state, that's the best you see of them, and that's where they capitalize on it.
Now you can definitely see the big diff there from SRG and C. Oh, Gorgeous is back!
Okay. Didn't we see him in another tournament? What team was he with?
Oh, last season was Vamos.
Oh yeah, it was
right?
Was he?
Wait, was it Vamos? Wait. Now I'm confused. It was Vamos, right?
Yeah, because I remember he was playing in a different team with
was he
different set.
Lent? Wait.
He was Lent.
Yeah,
He was alone also.
I believe it was Vamos.
Yeah.
It was Vamos. I was alone. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was alone.
All right, so Gorgeous is coming back just in time to make it to the world stage as well. Welcome back, Gorgeous, and yeah, again, this really is just a lot of like talking about what SRG did right. Clearly, what happened in the first turtle completely messed up what CG wanted to do for the rest of the game. Because when you have Freya, it's been clear even during the wild card. You're looking at the first two turtles. If you miss the first one, okay, it's chill. You go to the second one.
It was deja vu.
Oh, you don't get the second one? Okay, we play a little bit longer, but we will get the turnaround eventually. Just wait. This game, it was, we don't get the first one, let's just keep fighting.
It's like that.
Maybe they'll get tired out. It perplexes me as to why CG decided to play this way.
Hey, it's just like all those great animations we see where it's like you think he's done, but they're like, no. And like the finger twitches, you know?
Yeah.
And they get back up and they go again.
Yeah, for the old school people there, it's Monty Python. It's 'tis but a flesh wound. The arm's already off, but he's still fighting, and Pram ends up walking away with the MVP of the game. All throughout the board, SRG were fantastic. Personally, this was my vote because I liked how, again, you pointed out how he manipulated the EXP lane and that he didn't just stay there after the fact. He was able to affect the map with how he handled the Yuzhong and handled that quadrant of the jungle that he was part of.
I think it was the amount of recalls.
And the recalls were pretty sick too, yeah.
But Cram, you know, Cram knew it again on this Phobius. How many times, you know, do we see these XP laners bring out the Phobius nowadays in the current meta? Like, there's still really specific teams that still like to go ahead and bring it up for the draft. But this is one of those cases where it actually works, again, really well. This early team fight, I mean, this is 2.5 minutes in the game, right? And because of that, the snowball already started early on. It built up, and this is what we were talking about. This is a, you know, I'm going to do this again and again and again, and unfortunately for CG Esports, it just never worked, you know? And you get to a point where then you're facing a 13,000 gold deficit. And even this, it was still the same team. Like, you don't think they're going to fight, but they go in with an AOG, they force a fight, they give a ton of kills over here to Innocent. This is where he gets that triple, and they just continue to scale pretty much just completely throughout this game.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful, the way that they played it. And again, a lot of these team fights, you just don't see it because it's always, you know, the kills never go to Cram.
Yeah.
But he does a lot, man. He does a lot to peel, and it's also just understanding the composition. Look at Cram, peeling again. even when they're this far ahead, a lot of XP laners, a lot of players in general would just lose track. I mean, CG didn't even win the early game, and they lost track of their win condition. So
Yeah.
the fact that Cram stayed true just shows you that discipline that he has.
Yeah, and it seems like there was a lot of understanding between him and Sakai's in terms of pressuring Chiku every darn sequence. If it's not Sakai's right in front of Chiku, it's Cram, and then vice versa. You know, there was something that we mentioned a lot in this game, specific you, Mirko. Voss, what is the definition of insanity? Very applicable here for CG.
Oh, yeah. They just did the same thing all over again. They just kept on doing it, man.
That's a great character.
I guess they're consistent gaming with it. Consistently going in.
Consistently going in.
Oh, man. They were constantly gapped this game.
Yeah, I like it, man. You're going to think about so many. By the time we get to the end of wherever CG ends up in the MSM tournament, where there's going to be a ton. I'm sure some analytical person out there is going to have all the iterations of CG. Hopefully, though, like we saw in the video, they did mention that, you know, they can't look at facing against Malaysia right off the bat as necessarily a bad thing. At least in this case, they shouldn't have to face them again. You know, of course, they can still go and have good games, depending on the draw.
Yeah.
Later on. I know a lot lies on that. But, I don't know, man. I feel like we didn't really even get to see what makes CG good in this game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the unfortunate thing. It just feels like you're just like, man, you're left wanting so much more from CG.
Yeah.
We already know SRG, man. Like, we've seen them dominate for so long. So it's like, CG, their next match, whoever it's going to be, we would love to see what they can actually bring to that table here.
What if that's the problem? What if CG were too nice? They were so nice in the video, and SRG were just absolute dogs, bro. It was like, yeah, we're going to beat you. Please
Don't pick the same thing.
Don't pick the same thing. Easy win, easy win. CG was like, good luck, our brothers. Let's show how good Malaysia is.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a close game, because they might question the strength of Malaysia as a region.
So basically, they were like begging in the video, please,
Yeah.
please don't smack us 24-6. Oh no, they're doing it.
It happened right under 15 minutes. But yeah, hopefully CG can bounce back, and I hope this is a harsh wake-up call for them, because if this is the result that they get up against SRG, then what kind of results are you going to get against the other top teams here in the M Series? Of course, again, we've dogged them a little bit, but we're really hoping Cute Guy Esports or whatever you want to call them. Whatever you want to call
cool
them.
guy, man.
Cool guy, cute guy.
Okay, here's the thing.
gantong.
I wanted to say cool, but I remember